Good. Good. All right. Good evening, everyone. I call this meeting of the Township of Union Planning Board to order at 7:01 p.m. Mrs. Rutledge, Sunshine Act notice and roll call, please.
Certainly. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law, notice of this meeting stating the time and place was satisfied by the filing of an annual notice with the local source in the Star Ledger, newspapers of general circulation within the Township of Union, and posted on the bulletin board of the Township of Union Municipal Building.
Roll call, please.
Roll call. Mr. Alexander?
Here.
Mr. Cohan?
Here.
Vice Chairman Lay?
Here.
Mr. Espinosa Long?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Thank you, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. Ms. Perkins?
Here.
Mayor Figueredo? Committeeman Bowser?
Here.
Mr. Frame?
Here.
Ms. Khan?
Here.
We do have a little bit of a modification with our agenda tonight. The first item that we are going to go into is executive session. So pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, the board is going to go into executive sessions to discuss litigation regarding Watchung Developers versus the Township of Union. It should only take around 5 minutes, and we'll be back in open session after that. Can I get a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Cohan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Miller. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes, I vote to go into executive session, but I will not be in attendance, whereby I am recusing myself from this case.
Committeeman Bowser?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
It'll probably be 5 minutes, but we'll be right back. Can we have a motion to exit executive session?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Cohan, is there a second? Second. Seconded by Mrs. Khan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Here.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Vice Chair Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Espinoza? Here. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Committeeman Bowser?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Okay. Can I call the representative for application 2024-04 Watchung Developers, please?
Good evening.
Good
Yes, and I did get your, Stephen Hale representing the applicant, Watchung Developers, and thanks for stepping in, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
to be. I know you were in executive session on this matter, and I did receive a letter from your counsel over the weekend that the matter tonight was being carried to the December meeting. As I indicated in my letter to the board on November 15th, that we just want to state on the record again that the time period for decision has in fact expired, and we're reserving our rights with respect to that position. And I understand you had the executive session. I don't know why that resulted in a delay of the hearing tonight, but again, want to be on record that the time period to decide, I assume then it's going to be carried without further notice. Council's letter didn't mention the date, but I believe it's on a Monday, December 16th at
That is
7
correct.
o'clock in this room,
The 16th, yes.
and it will be carried without further notice.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, I'm stipulating that time period keeps running, so.
Thank you. So with that, can we get a motion to adjourn the matter of application 2024-04 Watchung Developers to the December 16th meeting without notice?
Mr. Chairman, in light of the advice we received from council in executive session, I move we adjourn that application to the December 16th meeting.
Moved by Mr. Cohan, is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Espinoza. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Espinoza? Yes. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Abstain. Abstain.
Committeeman Bowser?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
Okay. Can we swear in the engineer, please?
You raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And just a quick correspondence, I know that there's a different face on the center of the dais presiding over the meeting. Just want to extend our congratulations to our former chairperson, Jim Johnston, who was nominated and confirmed to be a Superior Court judge, which is why he resigned and is no longer the chair, and I'm serving as acting chair. So we send our congratulations to him. The next item on the agenda is the meeting minutes from the September 26, 2024 meeting. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Perkins. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Abstain, not present.
Vice Chairman Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Espinoza? Abstain. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes.
Committeeman Bowser?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
Abstain, not present.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
The next item up on the agenda is a resolution with regards to concurring with the adoptions to the amendments of Chapter 170 of the Municipal Code to be sent back to the Township Committee for final adoption. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Cohan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Abstain.
Vice Chairman Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Espinoza? Abstain. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes.
Committeeman Bowser,
Yes.
Mr. Frame,
Abstain.
Ms. Khan.
Yes.
Okay. We do have two items for new business. The first item is with regards to an ordinance for the floodplain management regulations presented by Mr. Donave, our engineer.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Just so everyone's aware of this, this ordinance is to repeal and replace Chapter 170, Article 19, which is floodplain damage protection, as well as Chapter 170, Article 19, floodplain management. By virtue of the fact that Union Township is part of the National Flood Insurance Program, they are required from time to time to update the floodplain management regulations. This is one of those times. The Township of Union, once the DEP or FEMA or the State of New Jersey make changes, they have 12 months by which to update their ordinances. These ordinances will adopt rules and regulations concerning the development and use of land in the flood fringe. And that's really why you're being asked to do a resolution recommending the adoption to the Township Committee. So I do recommend that you do this. This is much a boilerplate, and these follow the rules and regulations of both the DEP, FEMA, and the State of New Jersey. We're just following suit.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, are there any questions from the public? Okay, hearing none, any comments from the board? Any comments from the public on the matter? Can I get a motion to concur with the ordinance on the floodplain management regulations to be sent back to the Township Committee for final adoption?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Cohan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Perkins. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Callahan,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Lay,
Yes.
Ms. Espinoza,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Perkins,
Yes.
Committeeman Bowser,
Yes.
Mr. Frame,
Yes.
Ms. Khan.
Yes.
The second item up on new business is application 2024-05, Crystal Restaurants. Can the representative please come forward, please?
Good evening, Mr. Vice Chair and board members of the public. Stephen Hale representing the applicant Crystal Restaurants. And this is an exciting project that's looking forward to moving in on Route 22. As the board is most likely aware, the site's been a vacant gas station for quite some time. And Crystal Burger, who started in the south, and you'll hear some background on them, they actually have been around longer than White Castle and have many, many locations throughout the country. This is their first foray into the state of New Jersey, and they picked Union Township. And I think you'll find a little background on the company exciting. The site, again, it's been a vacant gas station for a number of years. Crystal is looking to put a brand-new restaurant facility at this location. It's in the CC zone. It's a conditionally permitted use. We meet all those conditions. And there is going to be new lighting, landscaping, again, a new building. We're required to have a 25-foot landscape buffer along the rear of the property adjacent to the residences. We do have that full 25-feet buffer, and in fact, you see based upon the landscaping plan that we're going to substantially enhance that and also add a privacy fence. So, and we have received the comments from Colliers. We're going to go through those, but essentially no problem. We also received the comments from the fire department, and we'll work with the fire department as a condition of approval to address any comments that they have. And then we received health department, and again, we'll comply with any requirements of the health department. So that's an overview of the application. Again, it'll be exciting to have a new franchise locating in the township. And if there's no preliminary questions, what I'd like to do first is call the representative from actually the company that works with Crystal, PCM Group, and Jim Webb to tell us a little bit about his position with Crystal and what they're planning, a little background on Crystal and what they're planning for this site. So.
Okay.
And you're going to be sworn first. Jim.
Can you state your name and spell it for, last name for the record, please?
James Webb, last name spelled W-E-B-B.
Okay. And you have to speak into the microphone. Sometimes it's
Raise
hard.
your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Webb, you've heard my brief explanation to the board. So first, tell us a little about your position with the company, and then we can move on to Crystal, which again, until I heard about it, hadn't heard.
Absolutely. My name's Jim Webb. I'm a project manager with PCM. I've been with PCM for the last 8 years. We just started representing SPB Hospitality in the past year, and I'll be the project manager for this build. And I'm familiar with the architectural and have been involved as the rep for the client moving forward for all of the architectural, engineering, and, aside from Steve, permitting process, et cetera.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about Crystal Burger, and I think some exciting people that are associated with the project.
Sure. Yes, actually. There it goes. Beautiful thing. So Crystal Burger is a franchise, and the franchisee for this location is Victor Cruz, the New York Giants. So he'll be working hand in hand with this project.
They could use them back now, by the way.
I don't know that he's coming back, but Victor Cruz will be associated with this particular project. So I hope that's all right with everyone.
Great. So tell us a little bit about Crystal. I know it's been around for a long time.
Sure, absolutely. So Crystal is actually, it's actually one of the oldest QSR chains. It's got 279 locations.
And by the way, QSR, quick service restaurant.
I was going to get to that.
Sorry.
QSR is a quick serve restaurant. It was founded in 1932. It's got 279 locations spanning 10 different states, mostly throughout the South, including Puerto Rico. Known for its sliders, friendly atmosphere, and around-the-clock service with a bite-sized menu. It's hoping to continue its 92-year legacy with approximately 200 additional locations spanning into 2025 and 2026. That's part of the reason for Union Township and New Jersey to kind of bridge that gap between the South and getting into the northern markets. Crystal Burger partnered in SPB in 2023 for this expansion. Its target audience is a value-minded customer looking for affordable and convenient fare. Let's scroll down here.
And we'll supply the board with a copy of this for your records.
Exactly. Its target demographic, target audience is busy individual looking for affordable convenience. Demographic is between ages 25 and 64, wide range of ethnicity. Founded mostly in the suburbs and the rural areas of the Southeast, and Union allows Crystal to stay local and still be able to branch into the urban and city draw. Some of the comparable, here's the demographic of where we're at thus far, moving north. Some of the typical guests to shop at competitors, of which there are plenty on Route 22. Our guests typically would shop at Wendy's, Burger King, McDonald's, majorly. So we think there should be no shortage of customers in the area. Crystal has been around for a long time. It's had its share of memorable moments. Ronald Reagan had Crystal Burger delivered to Air Force One. It's also known as Elvis's favorite slider. There's no proving that, so you guys just are going to have to believe me. I should have brought samples. It's a great idea. Noted. The nature of the business is it is a QSR. It's going to offer fast and affordable Southern-style food. We plan to serve breakfast, lunch, dinner, and late night. The core product is, as you can see on the screen, a beef slider. We also plan to serve breakfast sandwiches, chicken sliders, wings, loaded fries, chili, and desserts. As seasons change, we do offer seasonal fare as well. That's the overview.
And I know your professionals will address it in more detail. This is a new build, meaning the old gas station will be completely demolished, and I know you've worked with your professionals, and we'll discuss more detail to provide, again, landscaping, new lighting, and the like.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think the landscaping, especially the new landscaping that's going to be provided, is really going to revitalize, rather than an old rundown gas station. I used to actually work for an office over in Mountainside, so I'm very familiar with Route 22, the challenges that come into play with getting in and out and being quick, and also it's a beautiful area up here. Like, you guys do have very nice neighborhoods up here, and it's important to stay cognizant of the residents in those areas so that your neighborhood does stay nice while Route 22 remains its own separate entity there.
Okay.
So we're aware of it, or at
Okay.
least I am.
And I know from our preparation, you've had an opportunity on behalf of ownership to receive the September 27th letter from Colliers, the fire department comments, and the health department, and we'll certainly work with the township, and if you could confirm, we'll work to address any of their comments and concerns.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you. I have no further preliminary questions of Mr. Webb at this time. We will have our professionals that are going to cover some more detailed building layout, site circulation, and the like.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board?
Sir, this restaurant is open 24 hours a day?
So the goal would be 24/7, but it can be adjusted accordingly. If we were to adjust, we'd be possibly seeking a 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. open with a 12 or 2 a.m. close, whatever works for the local township. And then we'd also be looking at, for inventory, our deliveries would be off hours and at max 2 per week.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. And I can go into hirings as well. We plan to hire 40 to 60 hourly employees.
Not all at the same time, obviously.
Yeah, and in shifts of 10 to 12.
And I know that the company is committed to working with Union Township, again, being the first location in the state of New Jersey, focus on local hiring and the like.
Absolutely.
Out of curiosity, time from order to fulfillment, what's usually the average, and how do you compare with your competitors that you stated in the slides?
I want to say order to fulfillment for Chick-fil-A, who we also do builds with, is like 3 minutes, and I'm pretty certain it's the exact same for Crystal Burger.
Okay.
It's within the 2 to 3 minute range.
Okay.
And I mean, like I said, I've been down Route 22. I think no matter what we do, we can get people out faster than Chick-fil-A is right now, so.
That's a challenge. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Please feel free to step up. And we'll just need your name stated for the record. That's it.
The name is Portia Badham. The last is Badham. Hi there.
Hi, Portia.
One question, I may have been talking and missed it. Where exactly on Route 22 will this be located?
Exact address, Matt Sharrow, Steve Hale.
If you're coming down 22 eastbound, it's almost across from Sticky Finger Joint. There's a vacant it's a white gas station building just beyond, you know where all those trucks are, Droback? Just,
It's near what was the old, the Wiz
Speedway.
location, which is PC Richards,
Yes.
okay. Because that is a very heavily trafficked area, and I know there are problems with the, traffic-wise, with the Chick-fil-A.
Mm.
And there are certain times a day that maneuvering to do a U-turn.
Oh, yeah, you
If
can't
you
even
have
go
to do
down.
that, so that is right near the U-turn a lot of people have to take to get to the ShopRite. That's one question. Second question, I noticed when I heard you mention this, I just happened to Google and I saw that Victor Cruz was involved with this. The original plan was to start in '23 in Patterson, is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
What was the change to decide on Union versus Patterson?
So for that, I would have to go to landlord and SPB because I'm not entirely sure that it worked out between SPB and that landlord. And as Steve can speak to as well, depending on what the landlord is going to actually, give you in terms of the space and the site and everything else, I don't think that that was a demographic reasoning to not
That was
open
going to
in
be my next
Patterson.
question.
Yeah, I don't think it was a
Because
demographic.
based on the demographics that I saw, I'm not certain that those demos would be the same for that area.
Yeah, I see what you're driving at there, but I don't think it was a demographic reasoning for Patterson. Like I said, I built a lot of Chick-fil-A's, and the urban development for it, if it's there and it works, they'll push it, whether it's Crystal or whether it's Chick-fil-A. But if it doesn't work out with the landlord and the ownership, then it just doesn't work out.
And I would imagine this is down the road, but what's your overall timing for, once this goes through the process for the build?
The build, I believe, is a 7-month build. That's out of the ground, that's why. But it could be faster depending on which modular GC we go with. It's going to be a modular build.
And given Victor Cruz's involvement with this, I would imagine for your promotion, he's going to be involved in doing that.
Oh, yeah.
And thus, major opening and a lot of heavy traffic attending during that early time. Will there be any plans factored in for traffic management with the police department and such, and traffic?
I would imagine, as with any grand opening, we would work with the township, or municipality in most cases, but the township in this case, to make sure that we get some traffic management for that, absolutely. I mean, I don't think we'd be able to do a grand opening without having a meeting first with the township. So.
That's all that I have. Thank
Yeah,
you very
thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Just to follow up, I know that there were a couple questions on traffic. We do have a witness that would provide an overview of the traffic impact and the parking assessment, right?
Yes, actually, our next witness, Justin Taylor, is going to be our next witness from Dynamic Traffic.
Okay. So if there are,
Perfect segue into
yeah,
that.
so if there are any other questions from the public with traffic, feel free to come up. Are there any other questions from the public? Yep, please come up, sir.
Seeing that we're, you want my name?
Just your name.
Joel
Yep.
Shosha, SCIOSCIA. Anyhow, seeing that we're building this on top of an old gas station, has all the permits and the ground been checked? Because what happens is we dig a hole, and then 2 or 3 years later, we're still digging the hole because it's so contaminated. So, is there any checks and balances in place there?
That's an excellent question. In fact, our site engineer will touch on that. There are monitoring wells there now, but I'll let him address it in more detail. But it's, I'll let our engineer, but yes, that was actually one of the comments or questions that was raised in the Collier review. But again, great question. And knowing the franchise, they wouldn't want to locate at a location if there were any health-related issues. So, yeah.
I could go into the geotech report, but I think Matt would be better to do that. But we do have the geotech report and soils report and contaminated soils and sign-offs and everything necessary.
All right. Any other questions from the public? All right, next
Okay.
witness.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Liz.
I'd now like to call upon Justin Taylor from Dynamic Traffic.
Mr. Taylor, would you raise your right hand and state your name and spell your last name for us?
Justin Taylor, Taylor.
And do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And Mr. Taylor, I know you've testified before this board in the past, but if you could please give the board and the public the benefit of your work, educational experience, area of expertise, licenses you hold.
Sure. I hold a Bachelor in Engineering from the University of Delaware. I'm a licensed engineer in the state of New Jersey, as well as Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Texas. I'm also a certified professional traffic operations engineer by the Institute of Transportation Engineers, practicing traffic engineering for, almost 25 years now. And I've testified at hundreds of boards throughout the state of New Jersey, including this board, although it's been probably almost 10 years.
The board stipulates.
Great, thank you. All right, Mr. Taylor, I know your dynamic traffic prepared a traffic study. It's been reviewed by Colliers. And so if you could just briefly take us through the traffic, site circulation, and any impact.
Sure. So I am going to introduce what will be exhibit, I guess, A1 at this point.
Maybe we should, Greg, maybe what Jim put up before, maybe we'll make that A1 and we'll supply a copy to the board on the marketing information, so we could make this A2.
Perfect. So A2 is an aerial rendering, an aerial map exhibit prepared by Dynamic Engineering with today's date. I just put this up to give a little bit of reference to where the site is. On the map, north is down. So, not to confuse everybody, I apologize about that. So what the site that we're talking about is the old Speedway, right? It was a gas station. There's the convenience store, which is about 1,600 square feet, is still there. The canopy has been removed. The tanks have been removed. I'll let Mr. Schauer discuss a little bit more about that. But currently, there are 3 driveways along Route 22. Right, there was an in at the western end, an in the middle, and then an egress movement at the eastern end, all accessing to and from Route 22 eastbound. To move on, what we are proposing to do is to, from a circulation standpoint, is to close all of the driveways and then reconstruct a driveway at the eastern end of the property in a more typical right turn in, right turn out driveway. And there's 2 reasons to do that. One, we wanted to localize it at the eastern end of the property to reduce the influence with the U-turn maneuver on the opposite side to get to 22 westbound. We were actually slightly east of that. The other rationale was to bring this into conformance with NJDOT standards, right? Anything we're doing on here has to get approved by the NJDOT because Route 22 is under their jurisdiction. We have submitted an access application to them showing exactly what's on the screen. It was deemed complete with them in the middle of October. We anticipate comments probably after the holidays. But the design that we are proposing does meet all of their recommendations and requirements for radii, for driveway width, and for circulation. So what we've done is taken a non-conforming lot and make it conforming to current NJDOT standards. So from a circulation standpoint, the site is designed to circulate in a counterclockwise direction. Vehicles will enter from Route 22 eastbound, turn right into the site, and then a right into the access aisle. You will then circulate around. If you're parking and going into the store, we have parking spaces located along the Route 22 right-of-way and also along the face of the building. If you're going to be enter the drive-through, then you would circulate clockwise around the building and enter the drive-through lanes. We are providing both a drive-through lane and a bypass lane so that vehicles exiting the parking can then also, if they're not going to the drive-through, they're not caught up behind those vehicles. There was one comment in the engineer's report about some sort of delineation between those two, and I would suggest we put some striping down as you enter those lanes to really designate drive-through lane, exit type of thing, so that people don't get confused as they come around the back. As I said, you're going to be able to circulate counterclockwise throughout the site, and it does provide for good circulation, meeting current industry standards for lane widths, aisle widths, parking space, and parking space sizes. I would note that it also does conform with your ordinance on all those aspects. So from that aspect, I think we've got a good design that's going to circulate and provide for good, safe circulation both to and from the site and interior to the site. The other piece that we looked at is actual traffic impact. We're talking about trip generation on Route 22, a highly traveled DOT roadway. So when we look at that, we can't look at this as in a vacuum. We need to look at the fact that there was an operating gas station here at one point. So from a transportation perspective, what we look at is the before and the after. What was the gas station generating compared to what we would anticipate the proposed restaurant to generate? In order to do that, we go to the Institute of Transportation Engineers publication, Trip Generation, which is a manual that publishes data on all types of land uses for use by the transportation field to determine what theoretical uses would generate in a location. When you compare the two of those, the before and after, what was there at the gas station and what we're proposing, the difference in traffic comes down to a maximum increase in traffic of 18 trips during any of the peak hours, right? We're talking about 18 in the morning, 7 in the evening, and about 13 on Saturday. NJDOT has set a threshold of 100 new peak hour trips as being significant or potentially needing an intersection to study. So we're drastically lower than what their bar of a significant impact would be. I would say that if the driveways had been conforming and had worked for the site, we would have been able to go to NJDOT for what's called a letter of no interest, and we would not have needed a new access permit. But in order to make the site function better and provide the circulation we needed around the site, it made the most sense to clean up all the driveways and reconstruct the driveways and apply for the new access permit. So based upon that, it's my opinion that there will not be any significant impact to the surrounding roadway network with the proposed development. And the final piece, I worked hand in hand with the civil engineering, just to ensure that we provide enough parking to support the customer base. Your ordinance has a parking requirement of 1 parking space per 60 square feet of customer area within the building. The building, as proposed, has 640 customer square footage, and so that translates into a parking requirement of 11 spaces for this site. We were actually providing 25 spaces around the perimeter of the building, including the ADA requisite and the electric vehicle space as required by state law. So I think the parking is more than adequate to support the demand that we would anticipate for the site.
Great.
So in conclusion, I think...
Yeah, go ahead.
I said, in conclusion, I think the parking has been designed to accommodate the demand we would see. I think the circulation has been designed to provide for good flow throughout the site, as well as to and from the access. And I think that this is an improvement in access along Route 22 by cleaning up the driveways and consolidating into one.
And I know the question was raised with respect to grand opening or any special events. We commit to work with the township, whether it be Jobs in Blue and the like, to coordinate those type of, so that wouldn't be your everyday normal, but again, no problem in working with them. So I have no further questions of Mr. Taylor at this time.
Questions from the board?
Yes, Mr. Taylor, I have a question. You described the circulation very well, and the parking spaces are certainly numerous. How have you considered an additional plan for pedestrian safety as those people cross over the areas where the car...
So the design that we have, and one of the reasons we located where the parking where we did, one was to pull it away from the rear of the property and put it up along 22, but was also to not have people crossing the actual drive-through area, right? So we have isolated them and kept them away from the actual drive-through operation. Now, crossing the aisle as you come in, I think it's typical of fast food restaurants such as this to have people walking from the spaces that are along the 22 right-of-way to the building. The other thing I will say is the approximately 180 return. As you come in off of 22, you're not entering straight into a straightaway. You're then immediately making another right, which acts as a traffic calming type of measure. Vehicles are going to be traveling at a low rate of speed as they come in through there. And the final piece is we worked with the landscape architect to make sure that there's nothing high in that area. You'll be able to block headlights, but you won't be blocking the visibility of either vehicles backing out or the pedestrians walking through that area. So I don't really have a concern with the pedestrian safety. I think we've adequately addressed it.
And yet, and you're comfortable with the fact that those who are not parked along Route 22, hopefully you'll have multiple patrons, they will be crossing over in some fashion.
I do.
On both of the two sides.
So there is sidewalk provided along the northern face of the building, if I'm pointing in this area, right? So if you were to exiting these spaces, you'd be able to cross just the lane here and then get into the sidewalk network to the door, which is located in the northeast corner of the site. So again, you're really only crossing that one aisle area. You're not required then to walk down the drive aisle along the 22 frontage. You'll be able to just access the sidewalk network. From this side, the same thing. There's actually sidewalk along the eastern face of the building, and there's actually a door on that eastern face. So all three of them provide one crossing of the aisle.
Is there enough room for a ladder truck to complete a circle around
So
the
yes,
building?
we did, as part of the site plan, submit a fire truck circulation plan in order to, showing it circling the building.
Likewise, garbage pickup?
So trash pickup, the trash receptacle is located in the southwest corner of the site. It's anticipated that vehicles will come in an off-peak hour, and they will need to circulate in the counterclockwise, or the clockwise direction to access a front loader, and then back out. But this happens either first thing in the morning or overnight, typically.
Will the restaurant be in operation during those times?
It is anticipated that the restaurant would be in operation.
So how does that work if there are customers at those obviously off-peak hours, but if there are customers traveling the normal traffic pattern, you've got a garbage pickup truck going against the flow to make sense?
It's a great question. It's something that we had discussed at the time when we were getting ready for this. And so I'll let the site engineer talk a little bit more about the specifics of what we came up with, but we have the ability to take the garbage receptacle dumpsters and pull it north along the western face of the building, which would then allow the truck to come in, access it front load, and then circulate around the back of the building. What we were trying to do was pull it as far from Route 22 as we could to keep the dumpster out of the visibility. But I think we can screen it and continue to pull it north along that western property line and have him circulate counterclockwise, the same as everyone else. We may end up losing a parking space or two, but as I mentioned, the ordinance requirement is 11, and we do have 25. So we have a little bit of room within that buffer. If that's the board's preference, I think we can pull it around that side of things.
Just one follow-up for clarification. If you moved it, couldn't you put parking spaces where the dumpster currently is?
There's the potential, for sure.
Thank you.
Just to follow up again, there's 25 parking spaces, right?
That is correct, yes.
And I know this is probably more of a question for the architect, but if I counted correctly, in the floor plans, there's seating for 20. Is there?
Yeah.
Yes. So there
are 20.
So there are currently more parking spaces than there are actually seats inside the restaurant.
That's correct.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, where are the employees going to park?
Well, that's why we have the additional parking, not only for employees, but if there's pickup and the like.
Got it. Okay.
Usually we're in these cases asking for parking variances, but we wanted to make sure from an operational standpoint, there'd be enough for patrons, employees, and again, this day and age for pickup, for call aheads and the like.
Any other questions from the board?
Mr. Vice Chair,
Yes.
if I could. Ms. Taylor, one question I had regarding the garbage pickup. Did you indicate that would be on off-peak hours?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. My concern is that the way it's configured, and it will, in order to back up to get that dumpster, you're going to have audible backup beeping going on. Is there a way to avoid that being done in the middle of the night? Is that something that could be coordinated? So I'm not sure what off-peak is considered, but if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sure that the neighbors are going to hear that beeping and that backup.
So if we are to rotate it and pull it along that western property line, where the truck then circulates in a counterclockwise position, I think we can absolutely, it's going to be a private hauler, and so we'll have a little bit of control. We could probably pull it so it doesn't coincide with breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and have more of an off-peak in the mid-morning, right, as opposed to an overnight where we were trying to avoid the customers in the drive-through. So I think that's absolutely something we can work with. If the board has time frames that they would prefer it not to be, but potentially in the overnight, I think that's something we can work with.
And we can work with your office on on reload. I don't think it triggers any type of variance, so I think if it works out better to move it up, buffer it nicely, it moves it away from the residential area too, so I think it's a win-win.
And then one other, it doesn't fall directly under you, but as far as entering the site, the lights, the headlights coming in, you feel comfortable with the different fencing and landscaping out there that as cars are circulating around the site, that during the late night hours, that you're not going to get lights in the back of those houses?
I do. I will defer to the site engineer who has intensively put that together. But yes, I do think what we're proposing will shield the headlights from the neighbors in the rear.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Questions from the public? No. Okay.
Great, thanks. Thanks, appreciate it, Justin. I'd like to call upon Matt Sharrow from Dynamic Engineering. Great job.
Not as tall as Justin. Sure, it's Matthew Sharo, S-H-A-R-O. I do.
Thank you. Mr. Sharrow, if you could please give, as Mr. Taylor had done, the board the benefit of work, educational experience, area of expertise, licenses you hold, and whether you've been accepted as a professional engineer before other boards or courts of the state of New Jersey.
Sure. I have a bachelor's in science in civil engineering from the University of Hartford. I've been practicing civil engineering for just about 20 years now. I have a professional engineering license and a professional planner's license, both in good standing. I've testified in front of this board years ago, and then I've testified in front of many boards throughout the state of New Jersey. Board stipulates.
Great, thank you. And he'll be wearing two hats this evening, both as our civil engineer and as our professional planner for the few items of relief that we are seeking. So, Shara, if you could take us through, I know that some of the exhibits have been introduced already, but take the board through originally an overview of the existing conditions at the site and then what's proposed by way of improvements.
Sure, and I'm going to reference on the screen here Exhibit A2, I believe, the aerial map exhibit prepared by Dynamic Engineering. This is a blown-out version of the area, just to give you guys a area of the location. So it's located at 2201, 2210, however you want to say it, 2210 Route 22 East, Block 3101, Lot 33, and the surrounding uses to the, again, per Mr. Taylor, north is at the bottom of the page. I don't know who did that. It was me. So north is at the bottom of the page, just for reference. 22 eastbound is along the center of the page. The middle of the screen here is the site. To the north is Route 22 with some commercial across 22. To the west is a commercial use, and then the park next to that. To the south is the residential uses, and then to the east is more commercial uses along Route 22. I have a second exhibit. I'll call it A3. Just kind of blows it up a little bit to give you a better idea of what's actually on the property today, and the surrounding uses directly adjacent to the property. Again, north is to the bottom of the page. Route 22 is along the center of the page, and our site is in yellow. As Mr. Taylor mentioned, the current existing conditions has 3 driveways, one along the western edge here, one directly adjacent to it. I did not do that. Directly adjacent to it, and then one at the far east side. Excuse me. As you can see, this was that existing speedway, pretty much paved all along the front from side property line to side property line, right up against the front property line along Route 22. You have your existing convenience store that's located at the east end of the site. The canopy was located more in the center of the site. There's still some some islands there, if you go to the site today. And as you can see, they have some new pavement here in the black. That was the removal of the existing tanks. So there is no existing tanks on site anymore. They've all been removed. And to answer the question on the monitoring wells are in place right now strictly for monitoring. There is no active remediation going on. It was decided that there would not be any remediation needed. There are about 13 wells on site. 3 of them are impacted by the proposed location of the building, so they will be relocated. There is LSRP on hand from the previous owner, and all the records are with the DEP. So it is an active monitoring site, not a remediation site. I think that's it on the existing conditions. I just want to hit real quick the existing condition nonconformities. They are in the review letter. I just want to hit real quick so that you guys are aware of where they are and what they are. So the first one is the lot area. 40,000 square feet is required. This existing lot is only about 32,000 square feet. It's 31,999 square feet. The lot depth is required at 200, and existing is 150.6 feet. The front, rear, and side yard setbacks, all currently with this existing speedway, all are existing variances. For the front, it's 50 feet is required. We're at 43.9. For the rear, it's 75 feet required. We're at 43.5. And for the side, almost there, 20 feet required, and 19.6 is existing. And then there's also variances associated with the accessory structures for the rear and the side yard setbacks. So just thought that was important to note that there are quite a few existing nonconformities with the lot. What we are proposing here today, and I believe this was this Exhibit A too?
I believe this was submitted as part of the package, but why don't we mark it as A4 anyway?
Okay. A4. This is a site plan rendering. This is essentially, I believe it's sheet 3. 1, 2, 3. Sheet 4 of the site plan package that was submitted as part of this application. It's just a colorized version, so we took the site plan sheet and we took the landscape sheet. We combined them. We added some color to make them pretty for this presentation here tonight. I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit so that people can see it a little bit better. Let me see if I can dial that in a little bit better. Is that better for everybody there? So this, for purposes of this presentation, north is also to the bottom of the page. As you can see, Route 22 eastbound is at the bottom of the screen here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through quickly on what we're proposing here tonight. It is a 2,057 square foot building with a drive-through and 25 parking spaces. I know we've talked about some of it, so I apologize. Some of this will be repeated. I'm just going to walk around the site real quick. As you enter the site through the driveway that Mr. Taylor explained later, you're going to make that right-hand turn to do a counterclock motion through the site. You have your parking stalls along Route 22, and then you have some parking stalls along the front of the building. There is a waiver, I believe, for a 5-foot sidewalk, whereas 10 foot is required from the building. We are proposing 5 foot. It's only 3 stalls, 3 out of the 25 stalls that have this, that are required for this waiver. As you pass the parking stalls here, you will enter into the drive-through. There's a little gray area here. That is basically the pre-board, the pre-menu board, kind of advertising what's there. Then as you move forward through the drive-through, you see this orange box. That is the ordering station with the ordering menu board. Then you just drive around through, and your pickup window is down on the eastern side of the building. Exiting the site, you're just going to kind of go in that counterclockwise motion and exit the site to Route 22. Mr. Taylor did mention the bypass lane. That is located here along and around the outside perimeter of the site. There are 2 ADA stalls here that meet the requirements and 1 EV stall that also meets the New Jersey mandate for EV stalls. The EV stall is located kind of away from the major stalls around the building. It's located over here on the western side. We did talk about the trash enclosure, just to get the last site element here. We did talk about the trash enclosure. The trash enclosure is located at the south western portion of the site. We are going to adjust that a little bit, move it down closer to Route 22, a little further north, closer to 22, so that we do have better access for the trash trucks entering the site, and then the trash truck will be able to move around the site just as a normal vehicle would. Just to hit on the proposed variances here, thankfully, many of them are actually removed. We are removing the side yard, front yard setbacks. We are removing the accessory structure setbacks. We are requesting, obviously, the lot depth and the lot size. It's existing. We're not changing the lot at all, so those two are still existing variances. But we are requesting a variance for the rear yard setback. Rear yard setback today, as I mentioned, is 43.5 feet, and we are proposing 53 feet to the building from the rear yard setback. So that's an increase of 10 feet from what it is today. As I mentioned, there's the design waiver for the side yard, or the sidewalk in front of the building. The requirement is 10 feet from a building for parking, and we are proposing 5 feet. And then there's a second design waiver for parking within the proximity of a property line. 10 feet is required. We're proposing 2.5 feet to Route 22. It's important to note that right now there is no setback off Route 22 for parking or for drive aisles, because the parking and the drive aisles are directly on the property line as it is today. As far as landscaping goes, we're increasing the green space on this property by about 3,000 square feet. So on a lot this size, it's substantial. It's about 10% of an increase in landscaping area and green space. One of the important things to note is that we are maintaining a 25-foot buffer from the rear property line, which is the requirement. We are installing a 6-foot-high vinyl fence throughout from side property line to side property line with landscaping in front of that fence as well. And then we are proposing a few extra evergreens beyond that fence in the already green space between the residence and the proposed parking to kind of block a couple of those open spaces that are currently there today. So have a couple nice evergreens to fill up into some of those open spaces. You see a couple here, one here, and then one down here. And that will fill in those gaps. So one of the questions was to Mr. Taylor if believe that this would block any headlights coming in. I do believe a 6-foot vinyl solid fence from property line to property line will block any headlights. And then in addition, you will have these evergreens that will fill in the empty gaps over time. Just to note, really quick, we're proposing 17 new evergreen and deciduous trees on the site, where there is basically only the ones along the rear of the site. We are proposing 161 new shrubs and a bunch of low grasses in the islands and along the parking perimeter. As far as lighting goes, lighting will be lit through new LED lights. There are building-mounted lights around the building, seven of them. And then there's 4 area lights throughout the site. We meet all the requirements for the ordinance for lighting. And important to note that beyond this fence, there is no illumination beyond this fence. All the lights, the area lights are, there's 2 in the front islands here in front of the store, and then on the side of the property lights. So there's no area lights to the rear of the property. Getting into some technical stuff, stormwater. Since there is a reduction in impervious coverage here and we are less than an acre of disturbance, we are not considered a major development per DEP or your municipal ordinances. So there is no new stormwater management required here. Essentially, by reducing impervious coverage, you are providing stormwater management. We are maintaining existing grading and existing storm patterns all out to Route 22 through a new conveyance system. And then as far as utilities go, the building will have all brand new utilities, all from Route 22. All right, and lastly, we're gonna hit some signage, just to give you, actually I got an exhibit here. So this would be Exhibit A5, right, Mr. Hill?
Yes.
All right, so Exhibit A5, I'm just going to run through this real quick. This is the brand book that Crystal put together for this particular building. So this is just a quick site plan of the building. We'll go through each location. So this is the front of the building. This would be facing east, this small narrow space, and I can go back to the render just so everybody knows. So that would be this building. This is what you're looking at in that render of the architectural render. All right, so this is one of the doors. This is the front side facing 22, and this is the rear side with the drive-through. So as you can see, we have a sign on the front of this door, above this door, obviously stating the brand. This sign is 23.09 square feet, so it does meet your ordinance requirement of one sign under 50 square feet. Just important to note that the original application did have two signs on this facade. Went back to Crystal and we removed one of those. Due to the way the building's facing, we didn't feel that the extra sign was needed, so we went with just the one sign above the door.
And again, no variances associated with that.
No variances associated. And there's a nice, up in the top corner, there's a nice render of the building itself. All right, next. So this is the side that you'd be looking at from Route 22.
Call it the side, I mean, I know it's the side, but it's front-facing 22.
Yeah, so it's front-facing towards 22. As you can see, the same Crystal burger, or Crystal logo here. That's again 23.09 square feet. And there's the little burger logo that's above the door again, showing where the door is, and that's 9.5 square feet. There are two signs here, so technically there is a variance, but they do equal less than the 50 square feet required on the facade. So much less. So there is a variance required for the two signs.
And the one is actually almost the picture of the burger.
Yeah, the one is the picture of the burger. We consider it a sign because it's the logo showing the entrance of the store. So, and then there's a couple nice perspective views of the building there as well. You can see up front here they have a nice awning that goes around and covers the two doors. You have nice glass windows here for the dining area, and then you have some faux windows and some nice architectural treatments along the back of the store where the kitchen and freezer and all the fun stuff, the bathrooms, all the fun stuff back at the back of the building. Wrong way. So here's the other small end of the building. This is facing west. This is, again, you have the Crystal name here, a burger on either side of it, and then you have this, it's kind of hidden. It's a little hidden graphic. We considered it a sign just for conservative purposes, but it's really more of an architectural feature, matching the red of the building and kind of culminating that burger. But if you look close, that is a half of the burger logo there on the side of the wall.
They had to explain that to me. I didn't know what it was.
It had to be pointed out to me too. I just thought it was painting on the wall. I didn't realize that it was actually half of the burger. So we did consider it a sign just for conservative purposes. So this is where there's a couple additional variances that are required for the signage of this of the building. This sign is actually 87 square feet, the half a burger, and then the Crystal with the two burgers on either side is approximately 43 square feet. So that two signs, so we'll have the variance for the two signs on that side, and then it's obviously above the 50 square foot. But if you take away the half a burger, it's under 50 square foot. So if you consider that half burger signage, then we're requesting a variance. There's a couple other ones incorporated with this variance. The height of the Crystal burger and the height of the burger logo does not meet the requirement, and then the length of the Crystal burger sign does not meet the requirement, and the height of the burger does not meet the requirement.
And again, I know in the preparation, there originally was supposed to be a sign on the rear of the building, but that's been eliminated, so there'd be no signage that would be visible from the from the residences.
I do have that. So this is the side looking at the drive-through window, the other long side of the building. So that, as Mr. Hale stated, that we did originally have a Crystal Burger up on this, up in this red panel here, but obviously it's facing the drive-through and residential, so there was no need for it.
Right.
I went through the architectural, just so everybody knows, the building at the tallest point is about 19 feet high, so it's not a very tall building. Most of it's even less than that, so it's only this small portion up at the front in the dining area that's about, it's 18 feet 9 inches to be exact, so.
Okay.
But they do a nice job with the architecture and with the awnings and the different architectural elements throughout the sign, throughout the building.
Okay. And from an engineering standpoint, you'll work with, with Vince and the crew at Colliers to address any comments there, and also with the fire department and health department?
Correct. We had no issues with any of the comments.
Okay. I have no further questions at this time, Mr. Sharrow.
Questions from the board?
Yes, just for the record then, the area that will be adjacent or will be in front of the residence will not be illuminated.
Correct. So, that's a great question. So that's illuminated by lighting or there's no signage that back there, but a couple of these signs are not illuminated as well. So, these signs on the rear of the building, they are not illuminated.
Okay.
And when you say the rear again?
Sorry, the short side where you enter the drive-through, these are not illuminated.
They're not, okay.
And we discussed that because
Yeah.
although they're probably not visible from the residences, we didn't want that side lit up, even though they've got a lot of the commercial uses.
Just for visual purposes, that's this side of the building. All right?
Yes, yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
So you're reducing the width of the sidewalk from 10 feet to 5 feet, correct?
The requirement is 10 feet, but along these 3 parking stalls right here, it's 5 feet in front of the building.
All right, will there be any type of bollar?
Yeah, we could put some sort of, there's a curb right now, but we can put other bollards or wheel stops, something to protect the sidewalk.
Okay, and this is a sprinkled building?
Only if it has to be. There's fire suppression in the kitchen,
Right.
but I'd have to look at the code. I'm not an architect,
Okay.
but I think this doesn't qualify for sprinklers
Right, okay.
due to the size, but there is fire suppression around
For
the
the
kitchen
hood,
equipment.
hood
Yeah, the
suppression?
hoods, yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And again, there was a comment from the fire department, so we'll work with them on the different codes, and if they determine that it needs to be sprinkled, the whole building, they'll sprinkle it. They'll follow the code for that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Also then, this is probably obvious by looking at it, the area, especially the handicapped spaces, will there be a wheelchair depression in the curb?
Yes, so it's hard to tell on this.
I think
It's
I
right here.
recognize it, yes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. So, in the analysis memo from Colliers dated September 27th, there were several references to the signage. Are you indicating through your testimony that you've changed the application so that some of those conditions that were described are no longer present? Is that correct?
Actually, that's a great point. There is one sign that I missed. It's the ID sign. Thank you. So that does require a couple variances, so that's maybe why you're asking the question. So up in the front corner here, this is the existing location of the sign, the ID sign, the blue line here. What we're doing is we're using the existing sign that's still there today, and just refacing it. So it'll be 100 square foot, there you go. So 2 poles with the crystal and the signage here. It's a 100 square foot sign. That's what it is today. So we are just basically reusing the same sign template as there is today, and the same sign location, which is another variance.
But you're 100% right. Yes, we
Yep.
did eliminate the sign on the back of the building, eliminated a second sign on the
West
east side,
West side.
west side. Yeah.
West side,
So yes, we did eliminate variances and reduce the signage.
correct.
Thank you.
And again, if the half a burger, if you consider that a sign, it's a variance too, so.
Looks like paint to me.
It looks like paint to me too, I had to be told.
3 times during the prep meeting, I said, where is this sign you're talking about?
Subliminal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Considering the size of the lot, is there a plan for snow removal?
It's typical snow removal, they can use a parking spot if needed, if the snow is needed. Probably one of the ones up here towards the front. But there's plenty of space here in the back corner that we can get some snow, put some snow and pile some snow up. There's some space up here that some snow can get piled up on. Some space, once we move this around, there's some space to pile snow up on where this trash enclosure used to be. So if it gets to the point where we need a parking space, I don't know that there's going to be anybody on the roads anyway.
So to revisit the issue of the dumpster, you're proposing to move it. Can you show us where it would be moved?
Sure, it would, I would, looking at it, I would probably lose one or two of these spaces here and
Why
shift
wouldn't you move it to the front corner of the lot and just shield it with shrubbery and things like that?
here.
Well, or in that open space right
Right
behind
here?
the sign, behind the trees. Move one of the trees and just tuck it in the corner of the lot.
Honestly, that's a nice location for visibility of the building as you're coming down 22. So to have a trash enclosure in the front of the store, it's,
Got it.
But we'll work with,
Yeah,
again,
well-
Vincent Collier's team.
I think this is a nice location. As you can see, the existing building next door is right on this property line. So I think it'll sit right next to this existing building, kind of, I don't want to say blend in, but it'll blend in the back. You'll have nice access to it from a circulation perspective. And you might lose one or two parking stalls that otherwise are not really being used anyway, so.
You could just paint a half a burger on it.
And paint half a burger on it. Just so
point.
that the building next door can see.
Any other questions from the board?
One question regarding, going back to the environmental. Your LSRP feels confident you'll be able to move those monitoring wells?
Yes, the discussion's already been had. For everybody's reference, there's a pocket of them that are right about here in this part of the building, so they can be moved.
The environmental's hydrocarbon related, it's just, gas in the ground?
Yeah, it was a groundwater thing. To be honest, I have the nomenclature here, but it's.
So there'll be continued monitoring,
Cor-
just not those 3 wells?
No, correct. There's 13 wells on site that are going to be continually monitored.
And then, as far as reducing the width of that sidewalk down from 10 feet to 5 feet, that's not affecting any of the handicap access there?
No.
Okay.
No, it's 5 feet, so that there's no issues there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Questions from the public?
Ooh, thinned out here.
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Vice Chair, I have no further witnesses at this time, but certainly any that have testified are here to answer any questions that the board or the board professionals may have.
Any other questions from the board?
Just more of a statement than a question. At which point will the corporate decide the hours of operation?
We'll work, Jim and I are in discussions on that. Yeah.
Okay.
But we'll certainly keep the township
Okay.
advised.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank
Mr. Hale, would you like to summarize?
Yeah, just briefly, and again, thank you all for your time this evening. I know we had a crowd, most of them have left, but this is exciting that Crystal has chosen Union Township to make its first statement in the state of New Jersey. And they've really done well. I mean, if you look at this site plan with the landscaping, I know one of the residents had asked a question about the driveways there, reducing it from 3 to 1 and moving it further east is certainly a great idea, and site circulation. Again, enhancing the 25-foot landscape buffer in the back, adding the privacy fence, and again, landscaping throughout the site. And the fact that it's permitted conditional use, we meet all those conditions, and the only site variance that we require is the building setback, but that's triggered by the depth of the lot, and in fact, increasing the setback as it exists. And as Mr. Sharrow indicated, we're actually eliminating a number of pre-existing non-conforming conditions, replacing a closed-down gas station and C-store with a brand-new facility here. And we look forward to working with the professionals in the township, and we'll look forward to the board approving this application and conditioning upon Victor Cruz being at the grand opening. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? Comments from the public? Okay. Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the application?
Yes, I'll move we approve application 2024-05, Crystal Restaurants LLC, to be located at 2210 Route 22 East, and so on, subject to all the conditions and discussion that is on the record this evening.
Moved by Mrs. Perkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Miller. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Lane?
Yes.
Ms. Espinoza?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Perkins?
Yes.
Committeeman Bowser?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
Yes.
Ms. Khan?
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much, and look forward to this project moving forward. Have a great night. Thank you.
You too. All right, there is no remaining new business. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Cohen, seconded by
Second?
Mrs. Perkins. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, meeting adjourned.